There will be no peace in the land until Namudi Kanu is released. These are not empty words. They are a chilling declaration from Commander Gentle Diaho, leader of the BIAFRA Liberation Army after blood spilled once again in Akao, a historic town in Imo State. The anger is raw. The betrayal is personal. And the battle is no longer just about territory. It is about survival, justice, and identity. In a war-torn community where houses are burned, families displaced, and lives destroyed, Commander Gentle has named his enemy, a man called Eddie, accused of inviting mercenary fighters, the dreaded Musa boys and Asari boys, into Biafran. Gentle blames them for killings, for destruction, and for the murder of his own brother. Now he vows revenge. But this story is bigger than one man's grief. It is about a people who believe their destiny is being crushed. It is about a movement that insists peace will never return until their leader Nam Danu walks free. Why is Imo State always the epicenter of these battles? Who benefits from the chaos? And is Nigeria sleepwalking into a war that could ignite the entire Southeast?
Stay tuned.
This is the untold story the world must hear. The commander of the BIAFRA Liberation Army, Gentle Diaho, has revealed with a strong declaration that there will be no peace in the land until Nami Kanu is released. Commander Gentle is angry at a man called Eddie. According to Gentle, Eddie invited Musa boys and Asari boys into Akao. Commander Gentle blames Eddie for the burning of houses in Akao. He also blames him for killings in Akao carried out by Musa boys and Asari fighters. Commander Gentle condemns the attackers as small boys without wisdom or value. He says he does not care about enemies and will not beg anyone for peace. Commander Gentle issues warnings to anyone siding with Eddie. He recalls how kidnappers and robbers were stopped in Akao when he was first invited as a chief security commander. Commander Gentle claims that despite his efforts, the same people later betrayed him. He accuses them of killing his brother and burning his father's house. He vows to take revenge and fight back strongly this time. Commander Gentle confirms his men fought Musa boys in Akao recently. He says they killed many Musa fighters and forced others to retreat. The battle reportedly prevented Musa boys from gaining control of Akao. Commander Gentle warns Eddie and his supporters to stop collaborating with outsiders. He stresses that serious war is now ongoing in Akao, an ancient kingdom located in Inediato, North Local Government Area of Imo State in the southeastern part of Nigeria, now known as Biafra land. Meanwhile, a critic recalls that the violence started in Orlu, then spread to Orsu and now to Akao. He questioned why Imo State is always the main flashpoint of Biafra conflicts. The critic insists Biafra Liberation Army exists in many states, not just in Imo State. He suggests that security chiefs in Imo State must explain why Commander Gentle is being targeted. He criticizes infighting among Biafrans while their people suffer. It calls for unity under one umbrella instead of fighting each other. The battle in Akao on the 15th of August, 2025 is described as soldier versus soldier. Nigerian soldiers also reportedly clashed with Biafran fighters around that date. The battle is described as a trap for Nigerian soldiers, with heavy fighting on the ground. The critic repeatedly urges for peace in Igbo land and Biafra land. He warns people in Ori and surrounding areas to check on their loved ones and concluded with an appeal for safety, unity, and prayers for Biafra. The conflict in Akao, a community in Idiato, North Local Government Area of Imo State, is not just another local fight between rival groups. It is part of a much deeper story, one that stretches back decades and is rooted in the historical injustice and persecution that the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria have endured since the end of the Biafran War in 1970. When the commander of the BIAFRA Liberation Army, known as Commander Gentle Diaho, declared that there will be no peace in the land until Nami Kanu is released. He was not speaking in isolation. He was giving voice to the frustration of millions of Biafrans who feel that their land, their people, and their identity are constantly under attack by the Nigerian government and its military-backed structures. The first problem in this story begins with betrayal. Commander Gentle has openly accused a man called Eddie of bringing Musa boys and Asari boys into Akao. These groups, seen by locals as outsiders and mercenaries, were allegedly responsible for the burning of houses, the killing of civilians, and the spreading of fear in Ako. The pain of such betrayal cuts deeply in a community that already feels marginalized by the Nigerian state. Gentle's anger is personal, but it is also political. It is personal because he accuses these same people of killing his brother and burning down his father's house. It is political because the entry of Musa boys and Asari boys into Ako fits into a larger pattern of how external forces have historically been used to destabilize Biafran communities. The roots of this conflict did not start in Ako. As many observers have noted, the violence began in Olu, then spread to Orsu, and has now reached Ako. Olu became a flashpoint years ago when Nigerian military operations targeted young men suspected of being members of the Eastern Security Network, the armed wing, associated with the indigenous people of BIAFRA, IPOB. Entire communities were bombed, market squares destroyed, and innocent villages murdered. The government presented these attacks as security operations, but to the people they were nothing more than a continuation of the same policy of suppression that has haunted Biafrans since 1970. When Commander Gentle speaks about fighting Musa boys and Asari boys, it is more than a local skirmish. It is a symbol of the Igbo people's broader fight against those who seek to control their destiny. Gentle claims his men recently engaged Musa boys in a fierce battle in Ako. Many of the Musa fighters were reportedly killed, and the rest were forced to retreat. This prevented them from gaining control of Ako. The description of the battle shows how deeply determined the BIAFRA Liberation Army is in protecting their land, regardless of how outnumbered they may be. For them, it is not just about survival, but about dignity, justice, and reclaiming a stolen identity. The Nigerian government, on its part, has been accused of enabling these cycles of violence by refusing to address the root causes of Biafran agitation. At the heart of it is the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB. Since his extraordinary rendition from Kenya in 2021, Kanu has been held under conditions that human rights groups, both local and international, have condemned as illegal and inhumane. Every court order granting him bail has been ignored. Every appeal for fair trial has been dismissed. His detention has become a symbol of the broader injustice against the Igbo people. Commander Gentle's declaration that there will be no peace until Kanu is released reflects the unbroken link between the struggle of armed Biafran fighters on the ground and the global Biafra movement led by figures like Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa. Simon EKA, broadcasting from Finland, has often argued that the fight for Biafra is not only about freedom from Nigeria, but about survival itself. For years, the Igbo have faced systemic killings. From the params of 1966, where thousands were slaughtered in the north, to the starvation policies of the Biafran War, where millions of children died of hunger, to the more recent massacres in Arba, Onitsha, Olu, and Nsukka. The story has been the same. Nigerian security forces act with brutality, and the world watches silently. This history of persecution shapes the world view of every Biafran fighter today. They do not see themselves as aggressors. They see themselves as defenders of a land that has been under siege for more than half a century. The presence of Musa boys and Asari boys in Imo State raises further questions. Why is Imo State always the flashpoint of these conflicts? Why is it that every time there is a confrontation between the Nigerian army and Biafran fighters, it is in Imo? Critics have argued that the state security chiefs are complicit either by negligence or by direct collaboration in allowing mercenaries to destabilize the land. Commander Gentle's targeting of Eddie is tied to this suspicion. He believes that insiders are betraying the land, collaborating with outsiders, and enabling the suffering of their own people. The consequences of this conflict are dire. Families have been displaced, homes burnt, and farmlands abandoned. The people of Ako now live in fear, unsure whether the next attack will come from Musa boys, Asari boys, or Nigerian soldiers. Meanwhile, the state government remains silent, pretending that all is well or labeling every victim as a criminal. This silence itself is another form of violence because it denies the humanity of the people who are suffering. Yet, despite the pain, there is a call for unity. Critics within the Biafran struggle have warned that internal infighting only weakens the movement. The enemy, they say, is not among the people, but outside. They argue that Biafrans must come together under one umbrella just as they did during the Biafran War when General Chukwuemeka Odumu Ojukwu led with a single voice. Without unity, the struggle risks being undermined by petty divisions and betrayals. The possibility of solutions remains distant. On one hand, the Nigerian government shows no willingness to release Nnamdi Kanu or to negotiate in good faith with Biafran leaders. On the other hand, the Biafra Liberation Army, supported by global voices like Simon Ekpa, insists that only complete freedom will bring peace. The international community, though aware of the atrocities, has been slow to intervene, partly out of fear of upsetting Nigeria, a country rich in oil and gas. This leaves the Biafran people trapped between a government that persecutes them and a world that ignores them. Still, the resilience of the people cannot be underestimated. From Olu to Orsu, from Ako to Eri, the cry for freedom remains loud. Every battle fought by Commander Gentle and his men, every speech delivered by Simon Ekpa, every court appearance endured by Nnamdi Kanu adds another chapter to the story of a people determined not to be erased. Ako is not just another battleground. It is a symbol of resistance, a reminder that Biafra still lives in the hearts of its people, and a warning that the cries of the oppressed cannot be silenced forever. When Commander Gentle stood before his men in Ako and declared that there would be no peace in the land until Nnamdi Kanu was released, it was not the first time such a powerful statement had been made by a Biafran commander. His words echoed across villages and towns, spreading quickly on social media platforms and through word of mouth in markets, churches, and village squares. People in Imo State, especially in Idiato North, took those words seriously because they understood the depth of pain and frustration behind them. The central problem, as identified by both Commander Gentle and ordinary people in Ako, is betrayal. Eddie, who once welcomed Commander Gentle into the community to help fight kidnappers and robbers, is now accused of turning against him. According to Gentle, Eddie invited Musa boys and Asari boys into Ako. To many villagers, this was not just a matter of political disagreement, but a direct act of treachery. By allegedly bringing in these outsiders, the people, but outside, they argue that Biafrans must come together under one umbrella, just as they did during the Biafran War when General Chukwuemeka Odumu Ojukwu led with a single voice. Without unity, the struggle risks being undermined by petty divisions and betrayals. The possibility of solutions remains distant. On one hand, the Nigerian government shows no willingness to release Nnamdi Kanu or to negotiate in good faith with Biafran leaders. On the other hand, the Biafra Liberation Army, supported by global voices like Simon Ekpa, insists that only complete freedom will bring peace. The international community, though aware of the atrocities, has been slow to intervene, partly out of fear of upsetting Nigeria, a country rich in oil and gas. This leaves the Biafran people trapped between a government that persecutes them and a world that ignores them. Still, the resilience of the people cannot be underestimated. From Oru to Orsu, from Ako to Eri, the cry for freedom remains loud. Every battle fought by Commander Gentle and his men, every speech delivered by Simon Ekpa, every court appearance endured by Nnamdi Kanu adds another chapter to the story of a people determined not to be erased. Ako is not just another battleground. It is a symbol of resistance, a reminder that Biafra still lives in the hearts of its people, and a warning that the cries of the oppressed cannot be silenced forever. When Commander Gentle stood before his men in Ako and declared that there would be no peace in the land until Nnamdi Kanu was released, it was not the first time such a powerful statement had been made by a Biafran commander. His words echoed across villages and towns, spreading quickly on social media platforms and through word of mouth in markets, churches, and village squares. People in Imo State, especially in Idiato North, took those words seriously because they understood the depth of pain and frustration behind them. The central problem, as identified by both Commander Gentle and ordinary people in Ako, is betrayal. Eddie, who once welcomed Commander Gentle into the community to help fight kidnappers and robbers, is now accused of turning against him. According to Gentle, Eddie invited Musa boys and Asari boys into Ako. To many villagers, This was not just a matter of political disagreement, but a direct act of treachery. By allegedly bringing in these outsiders, Eddie exposed his own people to violence and destruction. Houses were burnt, families were scattered, and lives were lost. The people of AKO were left wondering why someone who once fought side by side with Gentle to protect the land would now align with forces bent on destroying it. This betrayal is not new in Igbo history. During the Biafran War of 1967 to 1970, betrayals from within often played a role in weakening the Biafran defense. Nigerian forces were able to penetrate communities not only through heavy weaponry supplied by Britain and the Soviet Union, but also through internal divisions and betrayals by individuals who placed personal gain above the collective survival of their people. The echoes of that history are clear in today's crisis. Commander Gentle feels the same sting that General Ojukwu once felt when allies abandoned the cause or compromised with the enemy. Gentle's accusations are not empty words. He has reminded the people of AKO of his past sacrifices. When he was first invited to the community as chief security commander, he fought tirelessly against kidnappers, armed robbers, and other criminal gangs. For a time, peace returned to AKO. But the same people who once hailed him as a savior later betrayed him. His brother was killed. His father's house was burnt. His own life was targeted. For him, the entry of Musa boys and Asari boys into AKO is simply a continuation of the cycle of betrayal and violence. This time, however, he vows not to retreat. He has made it clear that he is ready to fight to the very end. The Musa boys and Asari boys whom Gentle accuses Eddie of bringing into AKO are seen by locals as mercenary groups. Musa boys are widely believed to be armed gangs linked with Fani elements notorious for attacks across the Middle Belt and southern Nigeria. Asari boys associated with Niger Delta militants are viewed as opportunists who often align with political figures or state authorities to destabilize communities for personal or political gain. Their presence in AKO is therefore not accidental. It reflects a deliberate attempt to use outsiders to suppress local resistance and weaken the strength of the Biafra Liberation Army. The clash in AKO on 15th of August, 2025 was not a small fight. Consequences of this conflict go beyond the immediate loss of lives and property. They feed into a larger narrative of marginalization and persecution that has haunted the Igbo people since Nigeria's independence in 1960. The 1966 pogroms in which thousands of Igbos were slaughtered in northern Nigeria remain etched in the collective memory. The Biafran War in which millions of Igbos, especially children, died from starvation and bombing is a wound that has never healed. Each new attack in places like Olu, Orsu, and AKO reopens that wound. It tells the people that despite promises of reconciliation, they are still not safe in the country called Nigeria. This is why the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu is seen not just as an injustice to one man but as an injustice to an entire people. For many Biafrans, Kanu represents their cry for freedom, their demand for dignity, and their resistance against oppression. Every day he remains in detention strengthens the argument that Nigeria has no interest in justice for the Igbo people. When Commander Gentle says there will be no peace until Kanu is released, he is expressing what millions feel, that peace cannot exist without justice. Simon Ekpa from his base in Finland has consistently supported this viewpoint. He argues that the fight for Biafra is not merely political but existential. To him and his followers, the killings, the arrests, the house burnings, and the constant humiliation of Igbo communities are not isolated incidents. They are part of a deliberate strategy to weaken and eventually erase the Biafran identity. Ekpa's broadcasts are followed by thousands across the world, and his calls for resistance resonate deeply in places like AKO, where people see the violence firsthand. Unity remains a major challenge for the movement. Critics within the Biafran struggle have warned that infighting such as the conflict between Commander Gentle and Eddie only serves the interests of the enemy. They argue that instead of fighting each other, Biafrans must channel their energy towards resisting external aggression. They recall the example of the 1967 to 1970 war when, despite hunger, bombings, and international isolation, Biafrans stood together. Without unity, the dream of Biafra risks being derailed by division and betrayal. Yet, unity is not easily achieved in an environment where fear and mistrust dominate. Many communities have been infiltrated by collaborators who provide information to Nigerian security agencies. Others have been swayed by promises of money or political positions. The challenge, therefore, is not only to fight external enemies, but also to build internal trust and solidarity. Commander Gentle's anger at Eddie reflects this struggle. It shows how betrayal from within can hurt more deeply than attacks from outside. Reports from villagers claim that Nigerian soldiers were also present around the time of the AKO. There's no peace. There will be no peace in our country comes out. There will be no peace again in our country comes out. Anybody that comes with peace again, I will accept you people. The only level for that peace must go down. At this time, my brother, because Britain, France, they fought me that they didn't succeed. Because I have nothing in common with him. Come out and fight my boys. Who are your boys? Man is your boys. After the people of a bribe room, after the people, if I start counting you people Ion, and I came back, I fought for kidnapping of the people of God, include with the mother, include of the kidnapping, I made it clear to everybody now the enemy. I don't care, and I can never beg for anyone to hell to hell. To hell with your soul, aims try. Turn that fire generation. If you don't know me too, well your blood go, you go hell, you go to hell with your ministry, and with your Nigerian stroke, with this condition that stroke even any bloody civilian, any individual. Much to say. But this is only people can never hear my voice. You people can never see me again. I love my people so much. For my father's house. Why there is no peace. Why there is no peace, and you people are there deceiving yourselves. You people are there deceiving yourselves. Continue the comes out, there will be no peace again in our country comes out, anybody that comes with peace again I will accept people for that peace must go down. Okay, you wise, I will tell you, say you be small boy, no wise at all, more freedom. Are we living at the home, and you be mad? Why setting the house of the people ablaze? Why the house of the people? Because your father's house has no wage. You have your grandfather's house. You have nothing to Water Junction, Nigeria. Had a two that I mean many of them, and now many of them die, lose their life. Nigeria terrorist, Zu Kyama, the land of Kyama. Break all people for BIAFRA, Romania, the BIAFRA army. Nigeria, the second one. Oh. Army to army Nigeria zone. That is BIAFRA soldier yesterday. Yesterday being 15th of August. 195. Yesterday a comment happened in your state. Oh. Yesterday soldier. Her trap. This trap is this trap. Trapper the trap yesterday 15th of August, 2025 keep live direct. Underscore Nigeria soldier the thieves have BFA army soldier on ground Stanwater. Studio. Okay. Break. The chief of launch. Launcher launch tomorrow. All live and direct go army. Soldier. To soldier, army to army. We come to people, come to God. All direct state. At Rock State, all man of field command. Of Oka State, and all the is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.